So, in my personal opinion, one of the best movies by Kevin Smith is actually Jersey Girl, starring Ben Affleck. What if it had a sequel? What would that look like? Jersey Girl is actually over 20 years old at this point, having come out in 2004, directed by Kevin Smith. And the basic storyline is Ollie Trinky, played by Ben Affleck, lives in New York and is a media publicist, and he's dating Gertrude, played by Jennifer Lopez. Well, they fall in love, she gets pregnant, and she actually dies in pregnancy. And now Ollie Trinky is left to raise this baby all by himself. Well, things happen during a news conference where he essentially calls everyone a bunch of idiots because they think Will Smith is going to be a big thing. This comes about because he's trying to take care of the baby while also taking care of this news conference, and just everything's hitting at once. And he just finally is like, yells, "Shut up, you idiots," and blah, 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 goes through why they're stupid. And then suddenly realizes, whoops. Sure enough, he loses his job. He has to move in with his father, played by George Carlin, and essentially figure out life raising this little girl. Well, that's just within the first 10 minutes of the movie. The rest of the movie basically follows him realizing that his life in New Jersey, living with his father and with his daughter Gertie, named after her mother, is really more important and where he should focus his time rather than trying to get back this job living in New York. And it takes him a long time to figure that out. And it's a really touching story, especially to anyone who actually is a father and has a daughter. So that's the basic rundown of the first movie. Now I've got a sequel pitch for you. I would love to see a sequel to this movie because I do feel it's underappreciated. Even in the past 2 decades, it really deserves a lot more love than it gets. It's a real standout to me of Kevin Smith films, but I think a sequel could follow a very similar path. So instead of losing Gertrude like he did in the first movie, let's touch on something a little real while also in the realm of this story. Sadly, George Carlin's no longer with us, and he was the dad to Trinky in the first movie. So what if we open on his funeral and you have a now grown up Raquel Castro that played Gertie in the first movie, because it's been 21 years, there with her father Ollie, and they're both at Bart Trinky's funeral, George Carlin's. And you can have a touching moment paying a bit of a tribute to George Carlin, who is now gone. But the story could revolve around the fact that where we went from Jersey Girl 1 kind of went a little overboard into Jersey Girl 2. So the whole story with Ollie becoming more focused on life with his daughter and, being that where he spends his time and not worrying about New York anymore. Well, now let's just say that maybe Gertie, she's now old enough to go to college, and she was about to go off to college, but her grandpa died. And she realized that she can't really leave her dad right now because he's dealing with the loss of, his father, and adding the loss of her leaving, the nest to go to college is a bit much right now. And she delays going off to college for a couple of weeks. And then next thing you know, a whole semester has gone by and she still hasn't gone away to college because she's not sure how to break it to her father that she wants to leave. She wants to go start her life. And the story could pick up the crumbs from there. How does Ollie now go from focusing all of his life around Gertie and, helping her grow up and spending all his time as being this great dad, and now has to figure out how to live without her too? So not only did he lose his wife, and now he has lost his father, and now loses his daughter in, air quotes, because obviously she's not dying, but she is leaving. He's not going to see her every day. So the movie is, how does Gertie find the courage to essentially leave the nest while also making sure that Ollie's okay, and Ollie is finding a way to redefine his life without Gertie living there and being there every day. And I mean, these are real things that adults have to deal with as their kids get older. And adding in the bit of loss of his father dying with the loss of his daughter leaving because he won't be around her every day, and him just having to learn to separate those two, I think would be a really, really interesting story to follow up on. Now we just need to get, Kevin Smith, Raquel Castro, and Ben Affleck to decide to make it. Yeah, I know that's not going to happen, but hey, we can all live and dream, right? Now, this is just a small tidbit of kind of breaking out what a story could be. I'm curious if this is something you like. Let me know some movies that you love that think deserve a sequel pitch. And if you do like this style, I might even expand and really go into what the story is from A to Z rather than just putting the breadcrumbs of what if out there. But hey, let me know. Thanks for watching.